All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Welcome to smARTalk, where we discuss progressive solutions to our most pressing social problems, the problems facing society. I'm really excited. This is our second show, 2021, off to a roaring start. Before we bring on our guests, we definitely have a little bit of stuff to talk about regarding the events of this past week. Just so you know, we have incredible guests, Jackie Zamora with Paracutanga, local singer, also a community activist. We have Diego and David Diaz Marini, who are owners, entrepreneurs, owners of El Tío David's Peruvian restaurant, and we're going to learn all about how it takes to survive and thrive as a restaurateur during COVID. So that's coming up right away. And our guest star, Jamie Jung, he is an actor based here. I'm based in LA, excuse me, but from Albuquerque. And so he's going to give us some insights into work in LA, the acting industry, and all that wonderful stuff that you want to know about aspiring actors and learn all about that. So he's got a couple of big announcements, and we'll talk to him. And last but never ever least, super duper artist, muralist, painter, Jesse Rain Littlebird, and he's going to talk to us about what he's up to, and of course share his thoughts. He's never ever shy. So let's bring in our first guest, Diego and David Marini. Let's bring him in. And we will start with those two gentlemen. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How is everybody doing?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, good. Your screen is sideways. Is there any way we can fix that, or?
Let me
There you
see.
go.
How you doing now?
Oh, it looks good now. It looks
Hi,
great.
Alex.
How are you guys doing? ¿Cómo estás, tío David?
Very good, very good. Thank you.
You're
Yeah, man.
looking,
Very good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
yeah, you're looking very sharp. You know, Diego, I think I've seen you around often in Albuquerque. I know your brother Andres, so it's a pleasure to meet you and talk about the restaurant. But before we go
Cool.
there, I want to talk to your dad about his history, because your dad's also a musician, and how he came from Peru to Albuquerque, New Mexico, Albuquerque, Nuevo Mexico. And David, feel free to speak English or Spanish. I'll translate for the audience. However you want to do it is fine.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand. I can speak a little bit English.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Diego's play music with me also right here in Albuquerque.
Mhm.
We, we
¿Cómo,
play the
cómo
the same
llegaste
group.
acá a tocar música? Dinos un poquito de tu biografía,
Habla
autobiografía.
acerca de tu caso.
Bueno, ahí en Perú he hecho música por 25, 30 años en Lima. Mi grupo se llama Pucasonjo, en quechua significa corazón colorado.
Oh, how beautiful.
Corazón colorado. Yo te mandé algunos videos también
I have a
de
video
mi
to
grupo.
show. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's like my uncle too, Diego. You see that? So, Diego, how did you get involved in restaurant touring? Is that something that you wanted to do because your dad was doing that, or how did you get involved? Are you also a culinary artist, like a chef?
Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we had the idea to open a restaurant with my dad for a long time. You know, he's been cooking for the community since we came here back in 2001. So it's been almost 20 years that he started cooking for everybody. And yeah, cool. Yeah, there's our website.
Okay.
And so yeah, he's been cooking for a long time. It's just now finally we had the opportunity to open our restaurant. But we had everything planned out, you know, towards the end of 2019, and then everything happened in 2020. So we had to deal with with the hands that we were dealt. But you know, we're making it work. We're having fun with it. We are right in the heart of Nob Hills. This is a great location. So we're just, you know, kind of hoping, riding the wave, hoping everything gets back to normal soon. And you know, slowly but surely, you know, New Mexico's getting there. So hopefully by we'll have a regular summer, you know, coming this June. Well, who knows?
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I know you all had another place on Gibson, I think. This one here in Knobville, I was looking forward to it. But you guys are actually still open right now. Tell the folks how you can obtain and get some food, get some Peruvian food, and how that works.
Yeah, you can go to selflane.com, which is actually great because they're a local place where you can place your orders online, and then they don't actually charge any other restaurants, so that's great. So if you guys are out there ordering online, try to go through try to go through these guys, selflane.com, and you can find us right there. And you can
Diego, why don't you spell it for us? Spell it for us, and I'll make sure to add it to your on the webpage to your information. But spell that for us.
Yeah, so Self Lane is SELF, and then Lane LANE.com.
Ah, okay. Self Lane. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and I know the guy. It's great. He's you know, local. His family also had restaurants, so he knows the struggle. So that's why he's created this business model to help out local businesses. So it's great. That's where we prefer all of our customers to go through, because right now there's no dine-in. So you could either call us, you can find our phone number at our website, or you can even you can find the link to Selflane on our website as well.
Well, that's awesome. You know, another thing, I think you guys are offering order in, right? We could order, pick up, and go. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you can call ahead, you can place your order online. But yeah, we prefer Selflane, or just give us a call, you know, old school.
Just give you a call. Okay, yeah. And so, and David, tell us a little bit, you know, we're all familiar with ceviche and some other, you know, of those classic Peruvian foods. Tell us a little bit about the cuisine. We were talking about it a little bit yesterday. It comes from a lot of different cultures. Is that right?
Sure. Basically, we cook food from the coast from my country. You know, ceviche is typical from Lima, from north of Peru, and we use fish, onions, and basically, and the main ingredient is the Peruvian chili peppers, the authentic Peruvian chili peppers.
Oh, okay.
That's the secret. That's the secret of the flavor.
Yeah, the Peruvian, and you know that people in New Mexico will probably like that because you know how they like the chile over here.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But our chili is very special flavor.
Okay. Yes, I would imagine.
So yeah, a lot of our dishes use the chili just for the flavoring, and it really, you know, it brings out a very distinct, you know, flavor that you can, you know, the great thing about his recipes, it definitely brings people back to Lima. You know, they told us, oh, I tried the ceviche and I brought me back to my childhood in Lima.
Yeah.
So it's really all using the right ingredients is the key to, you know, having this great flavor.
We try to use the real ingredients, the real lemon juice, fresh lemon juice, the Peruvian chilies, fresh fish, fresh onions, very authentic.
Authentic,
ceviche,
yes. And we're looking at some pictures here,
Yeah.
David and Diego, and it looks really tasty. It's making me hungry. You know, I have to remember to eat before I do the show. And so this is right in the heart of Nob Hill, everybody. It's easy. It's easy enough to find online. Of course, we'll have links to it. It's right across the street from where well, you're on the same block as the theater, right? The Guild Theater and all that.
Yeah, we're right next door.
Right next door. So, you guys, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for staying open. A lot of restaurants have closed, and you guys, what you're doing and is keeping the economy here in New Mexico alive. And one of the things about this program, Diego and David, is that we talk about progressive solutions to problems, society's problems. And one of the problems that we're having now because of the pandemic is obviously people can't go out and the economy is low. But I feel if you go and you want to buy something, you buy from Theo David's, and then you all use that to buy ingredients it keeps the economy going. Wouldn't you agree, Diego?
Yeah, absolutely. When people go out and buy, we end up buying from local merchants who then, it keeps the economy going. But it's hard times, it's hard when people aren't out there and people aren't spending the money the way they used to.
Yeah.
And that itself, it slows down everything. It's always from the bottom up, it's never from the top down. So that's a lot of things. That's a big thing that a lot of people don't understand. Maybe in Washington, they think if you give money to the big companies, everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
People are the people that really need that. And without that, then there is no economy.
Yeah, I love that you said that, Diego. It's very intentional. Yes, we have to help each other out when folks are not helping as much as they should. Hopefully, we're all hopeful and we all want to move forward from the previous administration, and we're all hopeful. So hopefully we can get past this this COVID and we can get folks into the restaurant. I, for one, need to go and get myself some Peruvian food. But another thing about you all, and I see your family in your website, you emphasize your family. You and your dad, as we were talking about before, your dad's a famous, what's the instrument you play? The flute, right, David? And the guitar, and you play about everything.
I play basically Latin American music from South America. Yeah, I play too many instruments. But a long
time we have a special treat, Don David.
I play guitar, basically, and charango. Charango is a small instrument, like very similar, like ukulele.
Yes,
like a small guitar. Floats instruments and percussion also. I'm playing cajon right in
there you are, playing el cajon with our next guest, Jackie Zamora.
With Jackie Zamora, yeah.
Tell us really fast how
Rodriguez in the guitar.
Así es, Señor Rodriguez. Tell us how the relationship with you and Jackie started. Tell us that before we go on.
Oh, with Jackie in the theaters, in many performances. I knew Jackie a long time ago, like maybe 50 years.
Wow, that's awesome. That's wonderful that you have that relationship with her. And like I said, she's our next guest. But I want to thank you all for being on the show. We're going to show the video, David, of your music here and El Condor.
Condor
Pasa, yes, and this is in Peru, I would imagine. Is that right?
Yes.
Andes, look how beautiful. And so we're going to play this. Yes, go ahead, David.
I am very young in that video.
We were all very young one time, David. I really want to thank you both for being on the show. It means a lot to me. This is my second show to have you on, and we definitely want to have you on again when we return back to quote unquote normal. But I ask everyone that's listening and is going to listen on the podcast to please visit El Tío David's, the website, tiodavids.com, and go check out the food. And then, of course, they can, like you said, they can order online and have it delivered, or they can order on or call you guys up and then go pick it up. But either way, it's definitely worth your time, and it fuels the local economy. Thanks again, David and Diego. We're going to go ahead and play this beautiful homage to your father, Diego, and hope to hear you play live soon, David. Here we go.
Thank you, Alex. Very nice.
Yes.
Hi.
Oops. That was El Tío David Marini over there. Honestly, don't know. Not sure which gentleman he was there, but maybe our next guest, Jackie Zamora, could help us out with that. She's a local. Boy, Jackie does it all. She's a mother, a musician, a community activist, an artist. I don't know how else to describe her. How many words? There's not enough words in the vocabulary to describe Jackie and what she means to the community. Jackie, were you able to watch a little bit of that? Did you see your Con Nacional over there?
No, I guess I missed that part because
yeah.
I was trying to make sure that I didn't miss you.
Yeah, good. Well, that's the first time I've heard that in a long time. Most people want to avoid me, but I'm just teasing. But no, I played this beautiful video of his, and he's up in the Andes Mountains some time ago, and it's really beautiful. You know, with the pan flutes and all that, and I know you all have worked together on music, and so it's really exciting to have you, him on, and then you on. Have you been to Tío David's? Can you give us a first-hand testimonial?
I have been there, and I have to be very honest. He's the real deal. He's authentic.
Mhm.
He's when you eat at Tío David's, it's like eating at a fancy restaurant in Peru, eating at
Wow.
your like a relative's house. It's like eating. It's that feeling of comfort and home.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, he can serve you the most sophisticated looking dish, or he can serve you the food that is gonna make you feel like you are home. You are in Peru. He's so his 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 hand is amazing. That man can cook. His
Yeah.
season is on point. Yes.
Yeah, and I
I
like
have
that. Yeah, go ahead, Jackie. Go ahead.
I've had just about everything on the menu. And as a matter of fact, because I've been friends with David for so long, he's one of my compadres. Every time I have a strange craving for Peruvian food that nobody else can make, I will call and I'll say, come on, David, I'm craving this. The other day I was craving Peruvian Asian food,
All
but
right.
the following day, the next day, 24 hours later, he had it ready for me. I mean,
Yeah.
David, when he's very special with the community, with everybody, even more so with his friends. And so I'm very honored to be friends with David, Ana, his children, well, who are
Yeah.
not children anymore, they're grown-ups. You know, David and Andres and Diego, they're not kids anymore, but you know, for us in
Yeah.
Peru, the kids will always be the babies.
Yeah, you know, that's for sure. I'm still my mother's baby, I hope.
Oh, of course you are. No
But no,
matter what age, for sure.
Jackie, this it's a good transition to make because one of the things that I was talking to David about was how the food in Peru is infused of so many different cultures, right?
It's
Asian,
true.
Afro-Peruvian, and it's the same for the music, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So tell us, how did you get your start, and how did you end up here in the 505, as we say? Tell us a little bit about your history.
Absolutely. I started uh, studying music at the age of 13 with my mother. My mother was a zarzuela singer, and she was uh, an actress, a teacher, just an all around artist of every possible way that you can imagine. She was a choreographer, professional choreographer as well. And I was struggling in music class and music theory, and my mother was like, "How is that possible that you are struggling in music when I am your resource?" And so we began studying theory together at the age of 13.
Oh,
And
wow.
this is how I got started. And she realized, I think early on, that I had an inclination for vocals, and so she began training me. And soon after I came to New Mexico, I came to New Mexico to study English at the age of 15 as an exchange student in Silver City. And then I just kept coming back. My father said, you know what, if you like it, I'll just make arrangements and you can stay with your sister. And back in the days, I think it was a lot easier to send your children to study in the US.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we came here I came here in 1990, and then kind of went back and forth, and then eventually just stayed. I love Silver City, New Mexico. It's a very safe, wonderful place where you can do your studies, and uh, just beautiful. And then I
Yeah,
moved to Albuquerque about, let's see, right after high school. I moved out here, and I've been calling Albuquerque my home, my hometown ever since.
yeah. Well, that's wonderful, Jackie. And you're an icon here in Albuquerque in terms of the music scene.
Thank you.
I know you love your children so much, and you've worked with community publishing as the wise woman in two of the My Princess Marisol and the Muntis books.
Yeah.
And Princess Marisol on the Portal, which is the audio will be coming out this spring. But you also have your master's in planning, is that right?
That's right. Community and regional planning.
Regional
School
planning.
of Architecture, yes.
And then you it's funny because you know, I put on your Instagram and you're on another part of the country or the world, and then the next day you're back here, and you know, obviously pre-pandemic, and I'm like, wow, this you really make the most. You know how some people stretch the most out of every dollar? You stretch the most out of every hour. I mean, but that's a great example to live, Jackie. And so I want to change the focus now to your groups. I know you played in a couple of groups, Calles 66, and you played with Baracutanga. Am I leaving somebody out?
Baracutanga. My God, I've been in a few groups throughout the years.
Yeah, you have. And of course, I feel like the one that I'm not trying to speak less of any of the other groups because they're fantastic, but the one that's really made some moves on a bigger scale, because I know you played around, I know you played in Canada and you played in other parts of the US, and I think in Mexico, Baracutanga. And this video that I want to show everybody, because as you know, Jackie, this is we're looking for progressive solutions to society's problems, and you know, I want to just say we're done with these last 4 years, thank goodness. You know, a lot of us suffered a lot, and this video here discusses the immigration. So let's watch it first, and then we can talk a little bit about it. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's.
Ellos ya se alistan, juran que esta noche te van a atrapar. Ya ha pasado el tiempo en ese sucio juego, puede que la suerte esté en tu favor. Noche tras noche siguen tras de ti, hoy día te salvas, mañana no sé. Todos van cayendo. Deja de buscarla, baja la cabeza, no mires atrás. Das un paso en falso y ellos al acecho, es solo tu cuerpo, tu alma jamás. Noche tras noche siguen tras de ti, hoy día te salvas, mañana no sé. Todos van cayendo. Si tu ubica te pone presión, si piedra viene y destruye sueños, se acaba el juego y te lleva preso. Cuida tus espaldas, si tu ubica te pone presión, si piedra viene y destruye sueños, se acaba el juego y te lleva preso. Si ella te ubica te pone presión, si piedra viene y destruye sueños, se acaba el juego y te lleva preso. Cuida tus espaldas, si ella te ubica te pone presión, si piedra viene y destruye fuego y te lleva preso.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás, amigo? ¿Muy bien? Opa, perdón. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Y la nena, Irene?
Jackie, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, so I want to roll a little bit of the credits, but you can tell us who was on there. I saw Kilko's name and all that. It was a beautiful, beautiful, well done video, and I want to just let us know, tell us, I mean, it's kind of obvious what the content is, but tell us what you all were trying to communicate there.
This is kind of a funny story, actually. This song was originally called Bacchanal, which really has a reference to Bacchus, the Greek god of partying. And it was kind of like, was supposed to have been about a party. This song had original different lyrics, completely different, that talked about a party and a serial killer. And then what happens is on a day-to-day, I think we're given a doses of reality in the United States. And this is around the time that the beginning of the Trump administration, in the middle of getting families detained at the border, and families basically separated, children ripped apart from their mother's arms. And Kilko said to me, this is a good song, but I think we need to modify those lyrics to talk about what's going on in the border. And of course, we all agreed, because part of what has made Maracutanga so special is our involvement in current affairs, in current political affairs, especially those that affect minorities and families altogether. And it wasn't really much of a chore. I was delighted to change the lyrics, because it meant that I could always go back and take these lyrics and repurpose them anyway, the old ones. And so I am a parent, Alex, as you are too. And I can't even imagine what it would be like to know that I cannot be with my kids anymore, that somebody says, some government tells me that they're gonna take my kids at the border, and I cannot continue in my crusade, in my path to try to seek peace and freedom for my family. And just the thought of it is just a frightening thought, to think that we would not be able to continue together. If I am escaping a world of violence, and where there is no opportunity for me to be able to provide for my children, and then for me to get to the place where I'm hoping to get some humanitarian aid, and then they tell me, yeah, well, the kids are going to be taken away from you. It seemed to me like the right thing to talk about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and that it's a nightmare scenario when you're looking to a place where you feel like you can get asylum and get some help, and instead of they tear apart your family. So Jackie, what do you think now that we're gone from the nightmare of the last 4 years? And of course, obviously, it's going to take some time to repair it. What would you say to the coming administration? What's step one? What do you think? Yeah.
I think we all want, first of all, I think what has happened in the last 4 years has brought great awareness of something that we all want to pretend it doesn't exist. Racism, inequity in opportunities for minorities. And I want, now that it's out in the open, and now that we can all stop pretending that racism is doing fine and is around us everywhere, how about moving towards a unity for people, for people to have more inclusion, for minorities to be included in more policy making, policy decisions. I would like to see real immigration reform. We always want immigration reform, but I think what I would like to see more than anything is families being reunited, opportunities to be given back again to minorities. I would love to be able to see uh, the end of hate crimes.
Yeah.
And that would be amazing. You know, I would love to be able to feel free, like in a way that when I send my children out into the world, that they don't feel that burden of being a minority as being a disadvantage. I would love to see the representation of the word minority as an asset, as
Yeah.
something that is contributing to your community, contributes to your workplace. That for my daughter, knowing that she's a girl and that she will have the same opportunities as any other boy, it's based on merit and based on effort. And for, you know, that's all I can think.
No, that's great. I feel like you know, your step one in this instance is let's get those kids back in the arms of their loving parents, and let's start with there. You know, I totally agree with you, and I feel like that's what really needs to be done, and then take it from there, right? And I think what you're saying is in a way, in a terrible way, the previous administration had shed light on what we thought, or we hoped at least, racism and all that was kind of like backing away a little bit, but it's still front and center. But I think, Jackie, you know, I want to commend you and Kilko and everybody else in the band for bringing up these issues, bringing these issues forward, especially now. You know, you all are making such good music, and you're as the kids say, you're trending and all that. So I really want folks to go and visit Parakutangas, has a Facebook page, website, all that. We'll add that to our website, Jackie. But you keep people conscious of what's going on. And one more thing I wanted to add is that, you know, the band plays not just Peruvian music, but it plays a lot of Colombian music. It plays a
Yes,
lot of
sir.
music from all Latin America. So you, in a way, you embody the modern Latino, Latina, you know, because you are that mix. And I really want to thank you for all the work you do in the community. I want to have you all back on, you know, maybe a couple more. We can do like a little jam session, you know,
That would be
post-COVID.
amazing.
Let us know what are you, do you all have a live stream or something coming up, or?
You know what? Right now we have a lot of podcasts that we just filmed lately, and we'd love for people to go see our YouTube channel and
All
subscribe.
right.
And then we have also, of course, www.baracutanga.com. And then through our Instagram and Facebook, you could see what we're doing. A lot of our videos are posted there. And we're getting ready to launch our second album, Volver Atrás, in the spring of this year. And we're working with the publicist closely to roll out a really smart, you know, marketing campaign to get this album to more hands, more people, bring our message, our good message, to all over the world. We just last week we did a podcast in London, and it was amazing.
Oh, wonderful.
To the Latino community in London, in Europe, that we're watching. And so I think for us especially is just such a treat to be able to expand and to be able to share our music, our message, and our folkloric rhythms of South America with the world.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Jackie. And you guys are, you and girls, and you're of course a woman, doing an awesome job. I remember this video. You shot it at the rail yards market.
That's right. That's right.
Good times. Remember that? I almost had a revolt of the people that I work with. No, I was like, yes, we're gonna do it, and so we did it, and it was awesome. Here's your website, Jackie. Thank you. Before I go, I want to show you, Jackie, that I couldn't find the T-shirt that I wanted to wear. It's so importado, so I had to wear this. I don't know if you can see it. I'm sure it might.
Yeah, the one Albuquerque, of course.
One Albuquerque. But I had the Soy Importado shirt, and I couldn't find it, the T-shirt.
Oh.
And you know, it's a funny story because I bought it from Kilko, and he charged me double. So now that you all are famous,
he just can't see very well. He can't count. He's an IT guy, not a finance guy.
Tell him I'll pay triple this time. No, I love you all. Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate you for being on. Give everybody over there a kiss. And we'll see you soon, and keep up the good work. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah.
Community publishing. I know you are working tirelessly to incorporate more folks to be a community here in Albuquerque. So you're a very important piece of everything that makes Albuquerque so wonderful, a wonderful place to live in. And so
I appreciate that, Jackie. I want you, before you go, I want you to watch this little video here. This is the transition video. But thanks again, and I will see you really soon. And this is kind of explains why I started doing this podcast thing. Here we go. Hopefully. I've never been much of a flag waver, but as a Latino, I think it's really important that we diversify the media. And that's the reason I'm bringing on folks from underrepresented communities, so we can hear their perspective. And diversity of socioeconomics is important as well. All these voices need to be heard in order to make more informed decisions about the direction of our country and our world. Yes, Jackie, I totally believe that, and you're a big part of that. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk really soon. Thanks again. Have a nice night. Adiós. Nos vemos. Un abrazo. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
All right, everybody. So definitely excited to have Jackie on. And now we're going to go ahead and launch right into Mr. Jamie H. Jung, who is an actor. He's acted on the stage. He's acted in films, commercials, voice actor. He's an extraordinary gentleman, and I met him at the theater. We hit it off. Jamie, when I thought about this whole concept, I said, there's a lot of folks in town, Netflix, as you know, Universal, and they're filming here, and I said, well, I know somebody who did it the other way. He went from here, you're from New Mexico, and you went out to LA and you did your thing over there. It's a tough town, of course, Jamie, as you know, but you have had some success. Let's roll this really quick for our audience so they can get familiar with you, and then you can tell us after we watch this what we just watched.
Okay. The LA Metro bus system isn't keeping pace with the rest of Los Angeles. I take the 224. I really have no way of knowing when a bus is really going to get there or not. Coverage is so important that frequency can kind of take a back seat, no pun intended. For all of the problems, I think the future of the LA Metro bus system, it's very bright. What's all the fuss about?
Jerry went to Blake's Lottaburger and got himself a cheeseburger, and he didn't bring back any for the rest of us.
So he's that guy, huh?
Yeah, he's that guy. Hey, sorry I'm late.
No, you're fine.
Misconnection.
Oh, that's right. Like,
Well, she instanced herself for that. She'll race you anywhere, just as long as she comes first. But she'll only take the love she thinks she's worth. Oh, yeah, she's a lover and a tease. She's that paralyzing feeling that you get before you sneeze. But she'll only take the love she thinks she's worth. Yeah, she'll only take the love she thinks she's worth.
was definitely a treat, Jamie. Thank you so much. There was a lot to unpack there. Before we even go there, let's introduce you in terms of your bio to the folks. Before you became an actor, where did you go to school and all that? Talk to us really quick.
Sure. Well, my dad was in the military. So I was born in Missouri, lived in Japan, England, Texas, Germany. I went to university in London. My mother's English. So that was kind of like going to an in-state school for me. And I went to New York and I studied at the Stella Adler Studio of Acting for 3 years. And while I was over there, my parents moved out here. My dad was working at Kirtland Air Force Base. He still is. They've been here about 7 or 8 years now. So I kept coming, for all the holidays and went, wow, this is a crazy place. It's beautiful. It's not your average desert city. And then I realized how much film was going on here and how much of a groundswell of indie filmmaking there was and a lot of good people. So I just started falling in with a lot of them.
Okay.
It's fun watching my commercial reel as well. Especially through this perspective, seeing all the different people I worked with here in New Mexico, like for the El Paso Chihuahuas baseball team, but that was shot here in Albuquerque with Film Yard Productions. They work with a lot of different clients all around the country, but I happen to be more of a hyper-local type of commercial. Mm-hmm. The contest one for the Doritos commercial, that's a local filmmaker, Duck Machete, who's originally from Bogota, Colombia. I've been meeting a lot of different types of people here, which is fantastic. Like Alejandro Montoya Marin, who I worked on a short film, then a feature film with. He's from Texas and Mexico. He lives here now. When I was doing the Blake's Lottaburger and the eHarmony commercial, that was with a couple guys that were from El Paso and the Las Cruces area that have come up here, and Sheridan O'Donnell, Keegan Carnes. Keegan's still here in Albuquerque. Sheridan kind of bounces back and forth. I've had a lot of exciting opportunities with a lot of really good, diverse people here, which I've been really lucky and blessed to have met and to continue to work with and really have friendships with.
I'm a transplant myself, as you know, from New York. And one of the things I think you'll agree with me is that you find this unique circumstance of cultures and artists that represent that culture. And it makes this super cool alchemy that you might not find in a lot of other places, because we have the indigenous folks here, your historical New Mexican folks, and then us who come from different cities. And so that's awesome. How did you get involved with Fusion Theater? Because that's how I met you. Shout out to Dennis Romelski and all the folks over there.
Jackie Reed. Lori Thomas. And then Keith Sanchez. That's, because he was working, or he still works at Albuquerque Academy, right? So that's how I met.
Yeah.
Another landmark musician here in Albuquerque.
That's right.
When I was bouncing back and forth and I was starting to meet some different people, I auditioned for Fusion for, I think it was a play, or maybe it was their Short Works Festival. And I went back to New York. I was working on an off-Broadway play, and then I was starting to do more musical stuff. I was learning to tap dance and play the trumpet. I was the world's worst neighbor. And I realized, I didn't really even want to do that. That's not what I went to school for. Some people do for musical theater, and that's fantastic. But it wasn't what I was trained in. Wasn't interested in it, to be honest. It was just where the work was.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so I was working on a musical. It was in Queens. And I was really disillusioned with a lot of that stuff. And that's when Dennis called me up and said, hey, do you want to be paid to work in an equity play out here in Albuquerque? And I went, of course I do. That'd be terrific. I can start working and getting my points towards equity, the Union of Stage Actors. I can work at home with live with my parents for a while, do really good work at a really established theater company. I mean, it was a dream come true. And that's what ended up having me move and completely relocate to Albuquerque for many years.
Yeah. And your parents, they seem like they really like it here, and they're big supporters of your work. So in that reel, what did we see? Talk to me.
Yeah. Well, in the first one too, that's a very community-oriented project. It was for the LA Metro. So I moved out to LA about 4 years ago, and I still bounce back and forth very much between Los Angeles and Albuquerque. But because I don't drive, and I'm very interested in public transportation and in a lot of different things that connect people, right, that are like public spaces that are open to the public without necessarily paying an arm and a leg for something. And so public transportation is very much, it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, and you know, that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment when we get
Yeah.
into a little bit of the nitty gritty of our progressive solutions. But
Right. I just saw that listing. It was Friendly Filmworks. It was a production company, and they're like, "Hey, do you think that the LA Metro? Do you think, you know, what do you think about it? You know, they're putting a lot of money into that system right now." And what they're trying to do is there's like this next gen bus study. So they're trying to reach out to people that do take public transportation, because now there's a lot of money that they're putting into the buses, and they're saying, well, how should we best spend that money? And so what they wanted was, they reached out to the acting community and they said, look, you guys are very eloquent, you know, and you know how to kind of perform a little bit and present, but also, are you genuinely interested in all this? And I was, and I could talk very passionately about my experiences on the bus and how they could spend their money. And that's how I ended up in that commercial. And that's what I love, when social issues meet performance, when you get to work with these different people and talk about something that you're extremely passionate about, that impacts so many people on a more of a surface level.
Yeah, when social issues meet performance, I really like that. You're gonna have to trademark that one.
Well, it's like when I got to work on your children's musical, and we actually went out into the community. We went to the Rail Yards Market, went to Corrales, we went to the Plaza in Old Town. We got to actually be amongst people that live there and work there and walk around there and reach out to the local community and say, hey, this is, and it's a very educational and very touching family story. It was an honor to be part of that.
Well, thank you, you know, Jamie, and you're referring to Princess Marisol in the Portal and the play, and of course Keith Sanchez with his lovely soundtrack. What do you call that?
Yeah.
Score, right? Yeah, that's what you call it for theater. And you know, Jackie, our previous guest, she's the voice of the wise woman in the book, and of course, you did us the great honor of voicing the moon, Metzli the moon, and Marisol, of course, Princess Marisol played herself. So that's awesome. You know, Jamie, you're involved in so much different kind of work. So we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to listen to a little bit of your voice acting, and then we could move on to some of those issues that you wanted to touch upon.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for appearing, Jamie. And then, of course, you have a couple of announcements you want to make as well. Well, we have a big announcement that we want to make, you know, because pretty soon Jamie's going to be a big bad actor out there in LA. I mean, you already are, but even better, put it that way. So let me go ahead and share this really quick. And we can just take a little break here, and then we'll be back with Jamie H. Jung. Thanks, everybody.
Los adios must be a gift from God. Oh, how I've never felt so alive. Cuando miro por allá es nuestra ciudad donde nació. Quien yo por allá es donde tomó el agua, es donde nació revivar. Yo soy hijo de Burke, yo soy hijo de Burke, yo soy hijo de Burke, yo soy hijo de Burke que no.
All right. So we're back here with Jamie H. Jung, and I'm sure you just don't want to see my logo all day. And Jamie, yes, that was another group called Reviva. I don't know if you've seen them before. You might have heard of them. Yeah, and they put the music together, and of course, we had their lead singer on last week, and they're all about social justice and how to get to progressive solutions And yeah, so Jamie, we were talking a little bit about voice acting, and I think you had mentioned it once to me before, but after listening to this, I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. I mean, of course, I heard you do it for my book, but I didn't hear your professional work. So we're going to take a quick listen to that, and then we'll jump into some other. Yeah.
Of the year. Vote for your favorite band appearing on Saturday's MTV Woody Awards, March 16th at midnight on MTV and MTV2.
Located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Betatron Electronics is a full-service contract electronic manufacturer providing services including engineering, designing, prototyping, short runs, and high-volume production.
La Rola is available for private events and special occasions. We cater to different types of events and are fully equipped to deliver prompt and professional catering services at a reasonable price. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and tell us about your event. Delivering over 4,000 horsepower that does 0 to 100 in under 3 seconds. And you're going to drive a quarter mile to the gym? Get on your bike. Cycle instead.
All right. And that's actually a good segue into some of the stuff you were mentioning before in terms of spaces and utilizing spaces and buildings and pathways to be to make the city vibrant, living and breathing, and explain to us what you mean by living spaces. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, like these sacred spaces. I'm into a lot of mythology and academia in that regard. When I actually was starting to go to university, I was studying engineering. So there's all these interests that I feel like collide in me as an actor and trying to meet performance with the people that I'm performing with.
Okay.
There's some sort of like a location specific thing that I've been honing in on recently. I've been doing a lot of research on things like the Alvarado Hotel, which was a railroad hotel that was right there on First and Central, and how that was torn down in 1971, I think. Penn Station was also largely demolished. These giant landmarks that at one time made people feel pride and identity, and were these spaces that people could meet at and provided many social functions. At the Alvarado, for example, the Montezuma Ball turned into the state fair, which has been going strong all these years. And I think that's very important. Yeah, it's not just important for a city, but also for these neighborhoods, because these neighborhoods are becoming increasingly spread out. You know, this suburban sprawl and these bedroom communities. And I think it's very important for us to have these networks of paths, having these spaces, churches, like the Westgate Community Center, which is being built on Sage here in the Southwest, the Bridge Boulevard Project, which is a Bernalillo County project to make the main street of the unincorporated South Valley into much more of a throughway, but also to revitalize that main street and make it somewhere where a lot of businesses are going to be attracted to, and we'll get a lot more foot traffic and be much more appreciated by the people, and have all these maybe a myriad of spaces where people can again not just visit a hair salon or take their car, but actually congregate and share and practice empathy. It's a tying together of the community in which we get to practice empathy, where we get to look at each other and we see that all these different people around us from all sorts of different walks of life have all these things that they can teach us through their experiences, and we can empathize and bring that knowledge into ourselves and teach our children with it. I mean, that sounds like really heady stuff, but it is also on a superficial level too, like a real way that our society needs to function. Otherwise, we're just independent, closeted, cut off individuals that can mistreat our community and that can just leave. And I don't want to see that happen in parts of Albuquerque. I don't like seeing that in Los Angeles. I don't like seeing that in New York. These are beautiful world cities that deserve more, with extraordinary people that have a lot to share, a lot to give, and we can all learn from.
Yeah, I appreciate your passion for this issue, and a lot of what you're talking about is what motivated us to take that old abandoned rail yard complex and and you know, it was just a dirt road. It was just a dirt field with some old abandoned buildings the way it looked before. And lo and behold, I would think we started with 100 volunteers. But with that in mind is the point, you know, that we really wanted to make it into a sacred space. And you know, Jamie, and I'm sure you know this, but 4th Street and 2nd Street down in Butterless were main thoroughfares. And one of the pictures I showed there in the community publishing ad was an old 1931 picture of downtown Albuquerque. And so that community, that vibrance that you were talking about, I'm with you 100%. The more, you know, of course, you know, during COVID, we're talking about, hey, let's all get back together. I think even meeting at the hot dog stand would be great. But but yeah, no, I think so you do see that as a trend here in Albuquerque, that we are kind of moving toward these activating these spaces.
I do, and I was just watching this documentary about Penn Station last night. So they used a word about like how Penn Station was like a landmark martyr. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a good way to put it. Because after Penn Station, just like after the Alvarado Hotel was destroyed, it creates these historical associations that go, I cannot believe that was allowed to happen. That cannot happen again. And unfortunately, it has happened to these very large landmarks in our country. But we can move forward and say, look, we care. Maybe the city doesn't, maybe companies don't, but these are public spaces now that belong to us. We have to find a way to protect them or to use them in a wholly new way, because these cities, the larger a city it is, the more it has to change.
Right.
And so I love that what you've done with the rail yards market. You know, you've still made it you've made it a gathering space, because the railroads, people don't travel on trains as much in this country as they used to do. So we don't need these necessarily larger terminals or houses that help keep up steam engines that we don't use for employees that you know, aren't working. But to still use these venues and say, look, this is a beautiful historic building. This is part of our identity. I mean, those buildings used to house, it was like a third or maybe half of the people in Albuquerque worked for the railroad.
Yeah.
90s, you know, going into the 20th century. And it's nice to remember that. We're honoring our ancestors. We're honoring our heritage. That is part of our identity. We don't have to be railroad workers to honor that. But we could still visit these places and say, look, isn't that something? And look what we're doing with it now. And you can be having that conversation inside of it. I mean, that's what else you want.
Yeah, and so maybe the pandemic has caused us to rethink some of the some of our gathering spaces, how we gather, what's out there, or you know, maybe just appreciate each other in terms of being in the same proximity towards each other. Because you're right,
we didn't realize how social we are as human beings. You know, and now a lot of people are trying to reach out on Zoom, and still, like in the acting world, I can't believe that they're trying to do improvisational groups in schools online. I mean, how do you even do that? But people are still finding a way, because they that's their passion is improv. They feel like it's helping them, but they're also so invested in the people, the friendships, the life, and that's the only way forward. So that's the way forward right now. So we're finding our ways. You know, they're not these brick and mortar establishments, which I think are very, very important, but we're still finding a way through, and we're still becoming bonded somehow. Yeah,
you know, and yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the things I miss most about working with Dennis at the theater. It was the great camaraderie, and just we were appreciative of the moment that we were provided by Fusion Theater. But you know, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about you know, there's some young well, you don't have to be young to the acting field perhaps, but some aspiring actor who wants to get a start, and what would you recommend? What's the course of action? I know there's not an easy answer, but
sure. Well, I'm a big proponent in training. I do have a lot of training, and I did appreciate it. I mean, I think you need to have some sort of a foundation in whatever you're doing. And then you got to find out what you like. I think those are the two most important things to know.
Okay.
You know, it's like in any particular trade, right? If you're a plumber, You know, you need to know how those different tools work. You need to know what type of blockages or different types of, you know, sinks, toilets that you enjoy doing. And then you pursue that, and you find out little tricks, and you work with mentors, you know, in these different types of trades. And it's very similar in acting.
Okay.
And the world is changing. So it's very interesting to see, especially how acting is changing for the different mediums, for where you need to live. People needed to have to, you know, because film was expensive. Now film isn't expensive because we don't shoot on film anymore. You can shoot a film on your iPhone.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's opening up doors. It's opening geographies. You can live wherever you want, and you can do whatever you want to do.
So
But
you got, yeah.
well, but then the question is, you know, where do you see yourself within the industry? And then I think that's the final question you have to ask yourself. You know, do I understand the fundamentals? What do I like about any of this?
Are there
where do I stand amongst my peers?
Are there courses you can take online, or like, is there any of that going on?
Yeah, well, I've heard people recommend the Soul Academy here in Albuquerque as being a great, possibly like a one-stop shop for an early career actor. Yeah, I mean, and you can also, if you're just trying to dip your toe in, there's different acting coaches and people that have experience that are offering different types of courses that you can find on any one of the Facebook groups. That's a really good way to look in New Mexico, is on the different various Facebook groups. And also the New Mexico Film Office is an excellent resource.
Yeah, and we are going to have the executive director of the New Mexico Film Office here on February 26th. We're super excited about that. Yeah, we're super thrilled. You know, and so you know, before we go to your big announcement, talk to us about voice acting and what are the challenges compared to your regular acting.
I think for the most part, acting is very much segmented into the different types of subcategories of acting. You know, there's stage acting, there's even, you know, children's theater, there's musicals, there's voiceovers, there's film, there's TV, and then there's a lot of different types of acting within film and TV, commercials, and there's a million different types of acting. I think voiceover is very much its own little universe, especially like the larger and the more you're trying to prioritize your voiceover acting career. So a great way, again, to like dip your toe in is to sign up for some of the paid to play different types of platforms where you are getting like these non-union auditions, and you're just throwing yourself out there. But you're also seeing a lot of the competition and seeing, oh man, wow, my equipment is just, it's not up to par. My delivery is just not up to par. I can't, or I don't even like doing character voices. Then you're starting to find out the fundamentals. You're starting to find out what you like. You're starting to find out, you know, where you stand amongst your peers in the industry. It's, again, it is very similar, those different types of acting, but they're all a little bit idiosyncratic.
Okay, yeah, so you basically have to find what your niche is, kind of pursue that and jump into that.
You got to do anything. You got to start out doing anything.
Okay.
I think that's in any trade. You know, you got to just start working. And then you start learning what you're doing wrong, what clients don't like, and you start learning from people that have more experience about why those clients don't like what you did. And you start learning how to tweak your performance, or learning how to find the right clients.
Well, you know, you've given the folks here some insight into that. You know, I know you are also thinking of doing an online, what were you going to do? A theater kind of? No, wait. What was the? You had pitched an idea to me, and it's slipping my mind here for a second. Why don't you refresh my memory?
Well, it's been a crazy year. I had the Hollywood Actor podcast, which I was working on largely in 2018, and going into 2019, I didn't know how to deal with everything. I think people are finding their own individual ways through. The industry's still opening, closing, reopening, pushing through, and now it looks like Hollywood is going to be closing for a little bit again after this third wave. So trying to find your way through as an actor who wants to continuously work and maybe find a different medium in which to work as an actor is increasingly difficult. So I keep learning, and I keep trying to turn to different ways that I can approach people my peers and people that are, just starting out and trying to explain and trying to almost like almost like a therapeutic group. Like if we can all talk and share our experiences and say, well, how have you been managing? What do you think? Is a much more useful way even than understanding what the industry is doing, because so many people within the industry are struggling with these reopenings and closures.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. Okay, so and I know you had to go in there to shoot something. So tell us, what is this big announcement? When are we going to see
Oh
it?
no, it was just really great last year that I was able to kind of move forward a little bit in my career with a number of commercials, including a Wayfair commercial and a Geico commercial, which was fantastic. I was a principal in a Geico commercial, and luckily I was able to do that at home. It was about like with webcams and things, very clever and possible. And that's what we're looking for right now is how can actors be clever and continue to move forward in any way whatsoever right now until we start getting more of a firmer footing as the vaccines are going to be coming in and the industry is going to, and the world kind of settles in to this new administration, this new year. I was able to work on my first co-star up in Santa Fe this past year, and that was a fantastic career opportunity that is going to be helping to really build up momentum for me going forward, and as I continue to live in Los Angeles and bounce back and forth. And then yes, I was shooting a big commercial a couple weeks ago, so hopefully we'll be talking about that more in about a month or two.
Okay, so we can't let the cat out of the bag on that one?
Unfortunately not. No, you sign a lot of stuff.
Okay.
There's a lot of money on the line.
It's been
an exciting career year in an odd way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, we all look forward. I'm sure you will come back and talk to us a little bit more about where you are, where you've been. And I feel like you're kind of our ambassador here, or Albuquerque's ambassador when you're out there doing stuff in LA and all over the country. And we really appreciate you, Jamie. If a New Yorker in Albuquerque can adopt someone for the city or for the state, I'm going to do it right now. And thanks again, Jamie. And your insights are awesome. And keep me posted on any way I can help you and forward what you're doing. And also I appreciate your passion behind the sacred spaces. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. You say hi to your family for me, and
I will.
We'll keep in touch.
Thank you. And this is a fantastic project that I'm going to be listening to religiously. So congratulations.
And thank you for reminding me. You queued me up there, as we say, because our next artist, Jamie, is none other than Jesse Rain Little Bird. And Jesse is a fantastic muralist, artist, activist. He really represents the youth voice in terms of what's going on in the movement, not just in arts, but in society. So I really hope you stick around and watch the rest of the show. Jesse's about to come on, and he's got some amazing work. And Jamie, where can we follow you? Where can we find you? Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm on jamiehyoung.com. And it's, again, Jamie H. Young, spelled Jung, on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
All right. Well, there you go. That's Jamie H. Jung. Follow him. And he's, like I said, he's a gentleman who's on the rise. He's got some big stuff coming out fairly soon here in 2021, but he's always conscious of what's going on in our society. We're going to take a short little break here while we bring on our next guest, Jesse Rain Little Bird, and stick around. I'm bringing on artists of all mediums to talk about progressive solutions to our most pressing social problems. I'm very intentional about that. We need to identify the community's needs, come up with some bold solutions, and take 2 steps forward and stop messing around. We're going to go ahead and bring Jesse on and say goodbye to our good friend, Jamie. All right. Jesse, are you there? Hey, how's it going, brother? What's going on? How you doing today? All right. Jesse.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
All right, all right. Hey, are you listening on Zoom or on Facebook?
I am. I'm gonna close out the Facebook link.
Jesse. Got a nice feedback loop. I like that. That reminds me of, you know, when you're in those meetings with a bunch of people and it's all feedback, and at the end of the day, it's like, you know, no refreshments at these meetings. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna mute. Hey man, how you doing? You know, I know you from the art scene and the music scene, but you know, Jesse, you are one of those community activist organizers. You really speak for the youth, and you don't hold back. And I like that, and I really, you know, I really admire you for that, because this show, I put it together to be intentional and progressive solutions for all these crazy problems we have. You know, we just had basically a madman who had inhabited the White House, and you know, I'm like you. I'm very much looking for solutions that are going to solve issues like now. There's no reason that we can't be moving aggressively on these solutions, and of course. You know, Joe Biden, you know, we wish him well, but, you know, my hopes, I mean, I'm hoping that we can move from this insanity, but, you know, I was definitely a Bernie man, and I helped and I worked in this campaign, and so did my daughter. And so I'm curious to hear, your views on what transpired a few days ago, and also what you think, how you think we should move in the future. But before we go there, I was just prepping you. I want to show some of your artwork, some of your beautiful work that you've done. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You sent me a couple of files that I was able to pull up here. This is one. Let's expand that here. Let me know if you see it, and then I'll play it, and you can tell us what's going on.
Okay, dope. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's just recent body of work. Working on at my studio. I've been working on these square pieces. I'm really trying to get better at really not talking about my work.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of an oxymoron, because I can talk about my work for days.
Yeah, you know, Jesse, I've been to a couple of the after parties at your studio, and it's funny because it's funny because while everybody's either dancing or, you know, having a good time, you kind of just get this wild hair and start painting. It's so cool to see you do that, and you know, and having your studio down in Barelas down there is awesome as well. But so why don't you give us a little bio, you know, about yourself, you know, where you're from and how you got involved in arts and all that.
Cool. Yeah. So actually, I've moved studios. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, okay. All right.
Where we were like a year ago, when we were having those crazy parties down there. The world is
good times.
You know. A little background on me, you know, I'm born and raised. This is my my homelands. This is where I'm from, in New Mexico. I'm a card-carrying Pueblo Indian, you know.
All right. Love it.
I'm half though, so that speaks to a lot of where I come from, you know. So
Jesse, if I can interrupt you, for the folks on watching us on Facebook Live, they're going to be local and they know what you're talking about. But the folks listening on podcast, what explain to us a little Pueblos, which Pueblo, and a little bit of that really quick.
Gotcha. Okay, so my heritage goes real deep. My roots run real deep through the state of New Mexico, which is this is all we talk about ownership of land. It's not even a concept that we had as Native peoples way back when, but my people in our creation stories, we talk about that we actually came up from the South and we emerged from this earth, and then we met the people with the North, and that's what created these tribes and these peoples that are here. I have direct heritage to the Tano people, which are technically in the history books are extinct, but a lot more people might know us as the Anasazi, and then that gets fractured into different language groups. I'm from San Domingo Pueblo and Laguna Pueblo, here in Albuquerque, here in New Mexico. So yeah, I was born here, Santa Fe, at the Santa Fe Indian Hospital. But I pretty much grew up in Albuquerque, traveled around a little bit with my mom and dad. They're both artists. So I used to kind of say that I was cursed to be an artist because they were both artists. So, if you grow up and your parents are like, have other careers, they want you to be something that's going to make money, or something that's going to be successful.
Yeah.
But my parents really wanted me. They pushed me to be an artist.
I wish your parents were my parents.
Yeah, I used to kind of like always think the grass is greener on the other side with that. I kind of wish, because being an artist in this system in society is not the easiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've just strived to try to make it easier and easier for myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up here. I went to University of New Mexico, studied art there for a little bit, dropped out, went into the film industry.
That's right.
Did film for a little while, got connected with Sundance Institute, went that route, made a couple movies, but always kept art. Like art was I kept it really sacred,
Right.
I kept it like in my back pocket, you always be drawing, always trying to express something visually, trying to put something as an image, and to convey your thoughts. And so what I'm doing now, I really just look at like, I share with you on a grander scale in my sketchbook, and that's just really just the difference between people doodling, while they're in work versus me. I'm like, I just put my doodles on a bigger scale, and it's just, just really trying to express something, for sure. Oh, damn, I brought up the Sundance thing. Yeah, they just sent me some complimentary tickets to there. It's interesting, man, like in 2020 and then now 2021, how everything's so virtual.
Yeah.
And we have this like kind of weird disconnect with reality, and like it got me thinking like what's it gonna be like, especially, I mean, you said I'm voice of the youth. I'm like, oh God, please don't put that on me. I don't want to be the voice of the youth. I mean, I look at kids younger than me, and I'm like, wow, what a weird time to be growing up in, and to be interacting with media, interacting with society and capitalism. It's such a strange time. But I mean, to them, to these younger kids, it's what all they know, like imagine your introduction to Sundance is like not the festival itself, but it's this website you got going right now.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. No. And going back to what you're saying about youth, I teach in the daytime, and I try with all my heart, and the same thing here with my daughter who's 14. I try to kind of separate passion from finances. We're born into this capitalist system that basically, for lack of a better word, it brainwashes you into believing that we should do something for the sole purpose of, making money. And I understand being a New Yorker and growing up poor. I understand survival within a system. I totally understand that. But that doesn't mean that we have to stay there and accept the system and not do something to change it, to something more equitable and more just and more participatory. That wasn't easy for me to say, Jesse. What do you, so what do what do you think the role of you as an artist? How do you feel that I mean, you're very immediate and you always put you're very open. What do you feel like? Do you, maybe you don't try to send messages with your art? Talk to us a little bit about what inspires you.
Yeah, it's, I think people really have to talk to me for an extended period of time to get what my art is about. But I think that's a little bit of a crutch too. Like, a lot of my stuff is critiques of growing up, growing up in this system and growing up in having this like fragmented reality of what I was taught is pure in this world, but then what I'm taught, what I see every day, like this idea of making a system that inherently just takes and takes and takes from you equitable, I don't think is that all achievable, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think you just really got to dismantle a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of my work is based on primitivism, and I can do that because I come directly from a primitive, what the Western world would call a primitive culture, and so a lot of my work is really looking at like, well, what is the root of consumerism? What is the root of human greed? What is the root of needing for something? Capitalism puts into you this, like, you always have to want for something, you always have to need for something. When consumerism was invented, that's what really brought forth capitalism. Like, you really, to survive, you really only need like heat, you need warmth, you need people around you, you need society, you need connection, human connection, and you need food, obviously, you need shelter. That's all we really need to survive. And like, it's really hard within capitalism for people to grasp that, because we want for so much.
That's right.
And it's comfortable too, like we want to have this laptop that we're talking on, we want to have these things, and but capitalism makes it like a need and a necessity. And like, I've been teaching at NACA, a Native American Community Academy, and with my students, I've just been trying to convey. Well, I teach filmmaking there, so I've been trying to convey like a lot of media literacy, but also just like, go out and stand in a field or go out and stand in nature and just realize, well, what do I really need? Do I need to like have this computer that I'm talking to these kids on with Zoom? Like, they don't want to be on these Zoom calls, like and that's kind of a pushback. And I think you should look at that with the youth, going back to the youth. Like, if the kids don't want to be on the Zoom calls, they don't want to be interacting with this thing, like, what does that say about us in our youth? We really just want to live and survive.
Yeah.
And my art, I think I've been trying to break through and speak a lot on that. And I don't know, I'm not trying to spell it out either. I'm not trying to spell it out and like say like, hey, word for word, this is what is making you feel this way, and in my recent body of work, it really delves into critiques of capitalism, capitalist realism, the idea of simulating, and these idea of false realities.
False realities, yeah. Do you think, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? It's really basic, exactly what you had talked about. And I feel like so many people are not familiar with it or reject it, especially during the pandemic. They're like, well, you know, the things you need to survive are very basic. And so folks are worried about being able to go to Target and buy this or that and all that other stuff, you know, or, you know, I mean, I personally don't care where people order from. I'm more concerned with what's going on in the community. So I just commend you for that. And yeah, and I think what we're going to do really quick here is I want to play this video that I have here of you, and then we can get back to what inspires you, and maybe, you know, some solutions moving forward. You know, I'm really anxious to hear what you want to hear. But before we watch the video, you know, I also get the same sense from my students, Jesse, you know, that they, you know, they don't really want to be there, and in some respects that, you know, they don't even need to be there, you know. And what is our role, you and I, what's our role as educators? And a lot of times educators forget that we are dealing with humans, with you know, young humans, and what are we teaching them that's going to make them achieve everything that they want to as a person. Not, I'm not even talking about financial and all that stuff. So
Well,
stuff to
I
ponder.
think something that the Native American Youth Community Academy has, NACA, is and Mahipa, shout out to Mahipa Black Elk and Jessica Helen Lopez. What they really instill is like, we're not teachers, we're uncles.
Yeah, I like that.
That idea, like it takes a village to raise a child, you know. And I like that they call us that. They don't call us teachers, you know, because we're
That's a great idea. I'm going to steal
steal
it.
you know, community aspect of it, you know.
I'm going to borrow that from Jessica. Don't tell her it was me. So here, let's show this really quick, and then you can break it down for us.
What I've been making lately is a reflection of 2020. Simple as that. I was in my bed like back in March when the fucking lockdown hit, and I was just like, fuck man, this sucks, this life sucks. And I was like, well, what the fuck are you doing? You're just sitting in bed, you're gonna cry about it, or you're gonna go like fucking do something about it, you know? So, and I think actually out of that, a lot of people have thrived in it, and I've definitely thrived in having all this time, in that artists aren't essential workers, I guess, you know? What I've been reading a lot is a lot of critiques of capitalism, Capitalist Realism by Mark Fisher, Simulacra and Simulation, Jean Baudrillard talks about the schizophrenic within the capitalist system. So I've been feeling that hard lately, you know? Base level, know the reason why you feel shitty is because of capitalism. You don't hate Mondays, you hate capitalism, bro. Like, I'm not the causation. The causation is something that you live and interact with every day, and you can't get out of it no matter what. This system will fucking drive you crazy, bro. And we saw a lot of that in 2020.
Serving 229, counter number 8.
Ahora sirviendo 229 en
Shout out to Kyle from Cameo Media for filming that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Kind of echoing what you just said a little while ago, and I am with you 100%. You know, every time I see people with Happy Monday, and I'm always posting Happy Wednesday, Thursday, Happy Friday. It's all happy. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, you don't hate Mondays, you hate capitalism. That's a good one. I like that one. I appreciate that. Yeah, I agree with you. So Jesse here, you know, I've been talking about this stuff. Don't want to date myself, but since the 90s, and how do we move forward? You know, the progressive movement, I feel like it's in some ways a little bit stuck in neutral. I feel like the Democratic Party takes the progressives for granted, and you know, you see, when you see Bernie out there on New Year's Day saying, hey, yeah, let's do the 2000. 2000 is not enough. We should have did 2000 once a month, but he's out there, and then his fellow Democratic well, he's an independent, but you know what I mean? The fellow Democrats don't back him up, you know, outside of AOC and a couple of other folks. How like I get disheartened, you know, and I try to explain it to the people on the right who rather believe in a stupid conspiracy theory than face the reality that, you know, those people that we sent to DC, they're using our money to give it to their friends in political and corporations and banks. And so what do we do? Talk to me. What do we cook up? What's the next step or the first step?
I mean, so like at the very beginning of 2020, back in March, my friend Eric showed me a video, a documentary called Hypernormalization. And I'm so glad that I watched that at the beginning, because it really set me up for a lot of the tournament in the way that images and the way that words are used as a controlling mechanism over society. And then you kind of just realize that, like, you know, like a lot of society is patterns, and it takes a lot to disrupt that, and you know, and there's a lot of even false disruptions of things. And you can even look at what happened on Wednesday, you know, is that a disruption of something, or is that a false disruption of something, you know? I mean, it's crazy. It is sad to see. And it's like, you can have all these emotions about it. And, you know, the memes are fire. I'll say that, you know, but that even falls into this idea of the image. And as an artist, as a visual artist, you got to look at the image, you know, what are we being fed every day?
Oh. Great.
And I think what really has got the left, and you know, like I might be called a Trump apologist for this, but like Trump wanted to give us $2,000 too, you know, that was crazy to me. I was like, whoa, this disrupts a lot of narratives. You know, he was pushing for that, and that got vetoed. You know, so you have to look at like, well, what is really upholding this idea of a collective, you know, because Trump's, you know, as much as Trump represents the right, he is still an outlier to the neutralness of the establishment. And as an artist, you know, I feel like you should always, no matter what, be critiquing the establishment, the established status quo. And I mean, it was taken a little bit out of context in that video that Kyle did of me, but like when I said artists aren't essential workers, at the beginning of 2020, and everyone was scrambling around for aid and help, and like trying to get on unemployment and trying to get that like $600 a week. I myself was like, well, I'm not an essential worker. I haven't worked at a company for so many years to where I can even apply for unemployment or get this unemployment. And then they tie you down with bureaucracy, you know, and that's kind of like one of the mechanisms of the machine of capitalism. You know, they want you to do this redundant tasks. You know, how many times you got to type in your name, your social security, for you to, you know, just receive basic human aid. You know, and people still aren't getting that. And that's, you know, this gatekeeping mentality. And so as an artist that has any sense of privilege, and I think this is very important for the left, and I would consider myself very much a leftist, is we're attacking privilege on the other side without acknowledging our own privilege and even using that privilege to our advantage. So me as a newly coined term by POC, I can say so much more that someone else can't, you know? So am I gonna fit into a narrative of what a bi POC is supposed to say, you know? Especially with this shit on Wednesday, you know, immediately everyone starts saying like, these slides coming in like, well, this was, I'll use the example, like, look what they did at Standing Rock, and they didn't even do this to the these white people that came in here into the Capitol, you know, and that's like an obvious thing. And I think it should be like, all right, that's so obvious, you know, and that you can convey that to the layman. Let's look past that, you know, like maybe it comes down to class. You know, maybe it comes down to there's a reason why they can't be, you know, pepper spraying, and there's a reason why they let them into that Capitol building. You know, people be calling it a coup right away, right off the bat. I'm like, yo, you haven't, you know, all you got to do is look down in South America, Latin America, and that's what those are real coups. You know, the United States been coups countries all for like time immemorial. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was not a coup. You know, so we have to look at what happened on Wednesday as a spectacle. It's not, you know, some people.
Do you feel like those folks that were there were using their privilege in order to do what they did? Is that what you think?
I think, I mean, most of them, man, they obviously didn't even think that they were going to get in the building.
Yeah, that's
they got in the building and they didn't know what to do. They had no idea what they were doing, you know? So you have to look at that like, okay, this was a real planned. I'm like, no, you know, they had no idea what to do once they got in there. They got into the Capitol building. They're like, oh, well, I guess we'll just start taking shit, or we'll just like sit up here on this, you know? And obviously, I mean, you go back to memes. I like, one of my favorite memes was like, wow, that escalated quickly for 4 years. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You know, I mean, out of the right's playbook, they want this. You know, they want this to torment. They want this confusion, and it's actually just playing right into the narrative of the neoliberals as well. You know,
right?
The liberals already had the talking points ready for what would happen once they broke in.
Yeah. You know, I agree,
Just by
Jesse.
the other side, the hypocrisy, you know.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy, I personally am very, hypocrisy definitely, it hits me hard. It triggers me very, very deeply. But you got to realize that like a lot of media is playing on these emotions.
Oh yeah, and
so far as solutions, you know, the left, I mean, my solution to the left and what I'm trying to practice in my daily life is to not let my identity get co-opted into a narrative, you know, not get co-opted into a narrative of the right or the left, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I've been painting this like Buffalo Warrior fucking figure for like all year long, you know. And then what do we see? What do we see on the TV? Some white guy warrior, you know. So like, what does that mean? You know, does that get co-opted into? Does that get co-opted right? Does that co-opted left? You know, like,
yeah.
You know, like, but what does it say about me? Where does that come from? You know, that was very strange to me. You know, like to see that like. This white guy dressed up as a Buffalo Warrior, you know, and it's very much theater, you know, very much scripted, and it's easy to fall into that like conspiracy of it idea. But like, I think you just have to go back to, it's a spectacle.
It's a spectacle.
It's a spectacle, you know, and you have to look at it almost like it is theater, you know. It's not.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you said about it's 4 years in the making, and and some of the full outrage by some of the leaders on the left, I hate everybody picks on Nancy Pelosi, but she's the one who's been really vocal about it. And how could you? It's almost like, you know, it was almost like controlled chaos. You know, they almost like they wanted them to go in there and do all that. You know, and how much of this controlled chaos is directed toward us, and how much is directed toward the other side? But I still feel like, you know, until someone talks to me about getting rid of money in politics, you know, I don't really take candidates seriously, to tell you the truth. What do you think? What do you think is the way forward?
I think we're actually at a time in history, or time in right now, where money actually doesn't necessarily mean anything within capitalism. It's more and more becoming a society, a system of the sign value has changed. You know, it's not, you can't measure things in dollars anymore. Like my favorite things is like, oh, $100, I got one adult dollar, you know, because $100 only gets you so far. But I don't, you know, because like Elon Musk is about to become the richest man in the world, overtaking Bezos, right?
Right.
So are we just all of a sudden going to stop hating on Bezos because Elon Musk is
Sure.
you know, you know, they'll sell you. So like the overwhelming, looming threat that faces humanity as a species, as the world, you know, is climate change, right? We want to be worried about, like, you know, they'll keep you worried about, well, can I pay my rent this month, you know? Well, we should be really worried about, what about my grandkids? What kind of world is my grandkids gonna have, you know?
Right.
And so if Elon Musk can go sell a Tesla that he says like, well, if you buy this Tesla, that is gonna solve climate change. Or, you know, we're in a very exciting time, I feel like, coming up. And I have faith that it's actually gonna be really good for me and you, and even our kids. I don't have any kids yet, but I think it's going to be an interesting time, and it's not actually going to be as doom and gloom as we think, because the third industrial revolution is coming, and in that there's going to be a major shift in the infrastructure in this country, and a major shift in the hegemony of the way things are even thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I share your optimism, and I feel like when we talk about sustainability, just the word itself belies some truths. I don't think that what's going on now is sustainable, and the powers that are in charge of it don't know how to sustain it either way. I mean,
no,
if I was super rich, I'd be like, oh yeah, these guys want $15 an hour, give them $15 an hour so I could get them off my back. You know what I mean? It's like,
I don't agree at all with what happened on Wednesday. And I don't think that like that is the way to go about it. It's very childish, and it's very, I mean, people died on Wednesday, you know, but at the same time, it disrupted a lot. They were disrupting a ritual, basically, because that's what the counting of those votes were. It's outdated. That's what all the news stations said. That's like, this is something that they've just done as a ritual, you know, since when the house was founded and everything like that. So there's something about that. There's something about that they decided to disrupt ritual, because ritual is kind of actually very important to us as human beings. It connects us to who we are as tribal peoples, because we all come from a tribe. We all come from living in caves at some point or another. So we are all connected to that. And so, you know, what does it say about like these people disrupting this this ritual? You know, that's more or less actually kind of just a thing that we've just done. You know, it's traditional. It's traditionalism. We've just done it for years and years.
Yeah.
Like it should, like someone I heard on the news is like, this is something they all have to do in person, but like in the age of the internet, why do we even still do this in person? You know, why do we even still vote in person? You know, in the age of the internet, you should just be able to vote from your phone. You know,
I agree with you, man.
Why can't you just vote from your phone?
There's so many interesting points to all this to disunpack. You know, Jesse, I want to thank you so much. We just watched, while you were talking about tradition, we just watched the Naka video, so that was kind of perfect timing. But where can we hear more about you? Where can we follow you? Where can we, you know, where can you drop some knowledge on us? Of course, we'll have you on again. I want to talk about your film stuff and whether you're coming back to film. We're out of time. But I do want
back to film in a major way. Yeah, for sure. Back to film in a major way. I always say another thing with the left. I'll just put this in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Representation is nice, you know, if you get the right people in there. You know, Deb Haaland being Secretary of Interior doesn't pay for, you know, my rent, or doesn't pay for my glasses, or all the stuff that many people in indigenous country need. So reparations are better. And so I'm big on going for reparations. You can follow more of my work on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. It's just at Jesse Littlebird. And then on my website, www.jesselittlebird.com. I got some prints on there for sale, which makes my work more accessible to everyday people. Because, you know, I'm actually not, you know what? I'm not actually trying to sell artwork to the normal everyday people. I would rather just have my artwork free and accessible to everyday people. But if you want to buy it and you want to own it, then you gotta pay. And
Yeah, I like that.
You gotta be wealthy if you want to pay for it. So, and I feel like I should be trying, you know, to tax the people that can pay for it.
Are you so yeah, no, so, and your website is up and running and all that, and so folks can follow you there. I was showing folks your Instagram as well. It's
grab a hoodie too.
Collage. Yeah, and so we look forward to hearing from you again. Thank you so much for again coming on, and I definitely want to have you back on and keep talking about this, because it should be interesting to see how now on January 20th it all unpacks with the new administration, and how far where do we go from there? You know what I mean?
Definitely. I think we have to hold them accountable, and we really got to lean on them as much as we can. And, you know, I think that goes beyond just, you know, marching in the street.
Oh yeah, I agree with you with that. Yeah, I got to have you back on for sure.
Well, thanks for having me on, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. I look forward to having a drink with you out there. You got to text me the secret location to the new studio, so I can go to the parties. And appreciate you, man.
We're a long way off from parties, but you know.
No, I hear you. Keep up the good work for sure, man. I appreciate you. Everybody in the city, you know, we're so excited that you're here and you call Albuquerque home. And yeah, you just keep doing your thing, keep pushing, man, because we need people like you out there with a sincere, authentic voice. And stick around to watch this little ad with us here. It's a little piece. It's not even an ad. Appreciate you, man. See you soon.
Later. Thank you, Alex.
Dios must be a gift from God. Oh, how I've never felt so alive. Cuando miro por allá es nuestra ciudad donde nació. Quien yo por allá es donde tomó nació revivar. Yo soy hijo de Burke. Yo soy hijo de Burke. Yo soy hijo de Burke. Yo soy hijo de Burke que no.
All right, everybody. So that is just about the end of our show. I started out introducing all my guests. I want to thank all of my guests, David and Diego Diaz Marini with El Tío David, which is on in Nob Hill on Central, right next to the Gill Theater. Please check them out. Support local. We also had Jackie Samora with Paracutanga, and they are doing some amazing things. Check out their website. And we'll have all of these links on our website as well. Of course, a big thank you to Jamie H. Jung. He's got some awesome projects behind him and moving forward. And definitely think about what he said about sacred spaces and how we can engage those sacred spaces when we come back to quote unquote normal. And then of course Jesse Rain, Little Bird, who's just an amazing talent, all around artist, and super duper informed, and he's an fellow educator, works at NACOS. Check out his Instagram, check out his website, and we look forward to seeing you next week. This will be a podcast, so check us out, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and of course, Spotify, our sponsor. I don't want to get fired for not shouting them out. Spotify has been wonderful through Anchor FM, and they're super awesome as well. So I leave you, and I know last time I said I wasn't going to do a 2-hour show, and I think I'm about at 1 hour and 59 minutes. It's just that it's a testament to the folks in town, the talented folks we have here in Albuquerque, and yeah, and don't let what happened at the Capitol building shake you up too much, because that should motivate you to show you how far we have to go, and it begins with an intentionally verbalizing the solutions, but also, as my friend Madeline told me, it also begins with living with intention as well. So I want to send a shout out to her and everything she brings. She's a local artist. So anyway, I didn't pull out my one Albuquerque flag. So goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you next Friday at 6 p.m. This is SMARTalk. You're listening to SMARTalk, conversation with filmmakers and artists of all mediums regarding progressive solutions from pressing social problems. Every Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain. And thank you to everyone. Have a good night.